The post-release of Monster Hunter Rise on the Nintendo Switch led to two major updates to the game that introduced new hunts, a continuation of the game's storyline, and most importantly, event quests. With the release of Monster Hunter Rise on the PC, Capcom was gracious enough to give me a copy early for creating videos ahead of time, but I've already reviewed Rise twice. I even played the PC demo and gave my thoughts on the validity of a PC release and whether or not it's worth buying given that many players have purchased the game already. I don't really have more to say on Rise specifically until the release of Sunbreak this summer. So what exactly am I supposed to make a video on? What can I do that others haven't attempted already? I'm an avid fighting game fan. I love fighting games and specifically put a lot of time into Tekken 7. I'm not amazing, but it's a definite passion of mine. One of my favorite characters to play, although not my main, is Akuma, who is a guest character from the Street Fighter series. Coincidentally, Akuma is a Capcom character and most of the crossover events in Rise are via Capcom products like Ghosts and Goblins, Okami, and yes, even Street Fighter. Akuma specifically was an unlockable layered set through an event quest where you needed to hunt a Rajang, with the option of fighting a super powerful Rajang as well for bragging rights. What made the event quest reward so interesting is what happens when you pair it with Sword and Shield. Your weapons will disappear to give the illusion that Akuma is fighting barehanded. Not only will your character's voice change to match Akuma's, but using the unlimited kunai item will now appear as Akuma's signature Ga Hadoken projectile attack, and if done in the air, will transform into the Zanku Hadoken. Not only that, but the windmill Silkbind attack on Sword and Shield will change to Tatsumaki Zankyaku, and the Metsu Shoryugeki will change into the Go Shoryuken. Even the parry animation is altered with this costume on. This got me thinking, if there's a character in Monster Hunter with Street Fighter moves and effects, would it be possible to play Monster Hunter like Street Fighter? Obviously you can't fight other players, but could Akuma go up against a monster using the tools that we established previously? But I wanted to take it a step further. Playing as Akuma, although visually different, would still feel like you were just playing Monster Hunter. How could we get as close to an FGC experience as possible? Well, what if we threw in a fight stick? The nice thing about playing Rise on the PC is that any of my fight sticks could be compatible with the game. Specifically, I could hook up my hitbox cross-up and adjust the button profile to allow me to control characters with almost if not all functionality of a normal player just on a stick layout. So that's the task. Is it possible to hunt in Monster Hunter as Akuma while using a fight stick to emulate a fighting game? If you think you'll enjoy this content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'm SuperRad, and this is the Monster Hunter Akuma Fight Stick Challenge. The first thing I needed to do was be able to run the event quest to begin with. You can't take part in the Street Fighter event until HR 8, and Capcom has not put in save transfer functionality, unfortunately, meaning that I had to play through the entirety of the 1.0 storyline in order to access it. This meant taking part in village quests and completing license exams to fast track me to high rank, then rushing through high rank key quests with the best items I could make within a reasonable amount of time. I did most of this with Longsword, which shouldn't be surprising as it's my main weapon and also one of the easiest to use in this entry. Once I was HR 8, I needed to grind the event for 4 of the event items that would allow me to make the full layered set. However, I never actually took part in any of the event quests on my Switch and was confused to see 2 Rajangs in a quest where I was supposed to hunt only one. Since there was one on top of a mountain in Shrine Ruins, I assumed that was the Rajang I was supposed to defeat, and that was
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
wrong, to say the least. I woke up this optional superpowered Rajang and promptly had my teeth caved in. After making that mistake, I hunted the weaker Rajang for about 3 hunts, made the Akuma layered set, made a bunch of Sword and Shields, and headed over to the training area to actually practice how this was going to work. The hitbox has 12 face buttons and 1 stick. I set up the stick to be the left analog and each of the white rimmed buttons to be the right analog. Then I set up my action buttons like cross, square, circle, and triangle here, followed by the bumper and triggers on the final 4. While finicky, this meant I had full control of my characters and camera's movements, as well as the ability to attack, use items, and activate Silkbind abilities. Now all I had to do was practice a bit to see if I could reasonably make this happen. Not only am I playing on a stick, but I'm also playing on a weapon I rarely if ever have used. After messing around with the training dummy, it was finally time to put this idea into action.
Welcome Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7, Akuma.
Like my previous challenge video, I wanted to start with something easy, choosing to hunt a village Arzuros, but honestly, even with forward controls, this was a cakewalk due to the equipment I was using. Not only did I have high rank armor on, but a Rajang sword and shield as well, meaning just poking Arzuros a few times brought it extremely close to death. However, this helped me understand something important. I have no idea what I'm doing. Basic movement was easy enough, but keeping my eyes on the monster using the white-rimmed buttons was proving difficult to say the least. I also had to constantly remember what my item button was, how I would cycle through them, and even had to consider how to fly around with my wire bugs and activate my Silkbind abilities. It was extremely janky, and I felt like I wasn't getting the practice I needed against a punching bag like low-rank Arzuros. I figured the best chance of me actually getting semi-comfortable with the controls would be to attempt completing the challenge I had planned to do from the beginning, a high-rank Magnamalo. This was the real challenge. Not only was this a high rank fight, but Magnamalo is the flagship of Rise. It's a fast and powerful monster with the Hellfire gimmick, meaning I would need to get comfortable with wire bugs. On the other hand, it's a grounded monster, so I wouldn't have to worry about it flying out of my reach. Starting off, I still felt fairly uncomfortable with the controls. It was hard enough keeping line of sight on Magnamalo, let alone attack him, but I started to notice that when I did land hits, they were fairly effective. Part breaks were coming semi-easily, and you could reliably knock out Magnamalo with the Go Shoryuken Silkbind attack. Another issue was Wyvern riding. Generally, when another monster knocks over your target, you want to then ride your target and bash it into the other monster for another free Wyvern ride. But figuring out how to do that effectively took some time, and I never did master it fully. Instead, I often ended up wasting some aspect of it, either by skipping the finisher or just ending preemptively. Items were also incredibly important considering how many hits I was taking. Having potions ready was a must, but I also wanted to have my kunai out as much as possible to perform Hadokens. Having such a hard time switching back and forth between my items, especially when needing a potion immediately, led to 3 incredibly quick carts in sequence, and I was honestly overwhelmed. Magnamalo rocked me. I had no idea if this video was even going to be possible at this point because this purple tiger dog clapped me so hard I got sent back to Generation 1. I decided I'd give it another go and practice a bit more to see what was doable and what wasn't, but something happened on my second attempt that I wasn't expecting. Everything began to go really smoothly. I mean, as smoothly as you could expect with a fight stick, sure, but I was following Magnamalo better. I was dodging attacks easier. I was seeing more knockdowns and I wasn't even getting carded. Well, I got carded once. Only once. Things were turning around. Even using the wire bugs was at least manageable. When Magnamalo tried to combo me with his pseudo pin attack, I was able to wire fall out of it, and when I was blighted, I managed to remove it fairly consistently. I utilized traps in Endemic Life to the best of my ability, but what the fight really came down to was consistently staying at his head at all times while landing as many Shoryukens as possible. I feel like Evade Extender 3 was really useful here. Since I had so much trouble with movement, being able to roll across half the map with a button press helped immensely with evading various attacks. The following footage is a highlight reel of how my final attempt went against high rank Magnamalo. I love making these challenge videos because they give me something to do in a game where I can sometimes feel like I've done everything already. I definitely burnt myself out with Rise on the Switch, but really felt refreshed returning to it on PC. The game's higher frame rate, better loading times, and overall smoother experience make it much easier to jump back in and catch up where you left off on the Nintendo Switch release. And these challenges allow me to think creatively about what I would like to do in these games. Unlocking Akuma was fun, but I had more fun actually attempting to play as him with a fighting stick of all things. And crazy enough, it was surprisingly doable with enough practice. Something that felt super overwhelming in the moment only required a little practice and motivation to get semi-decent at. And I'm a little curious how far someone could take this. Could the entire game be completed this way? Maybe. I wasn't able to add D-pad input because there just weren't enough buttons, but outside of menuing, it's not really necessary. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. It just takes a few seconds and helps me create this content for you all. You can also check me out on Twitch, where I plan on testing out this challenge further while live. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. This is the Patreon section. I just want to give a quick shout out to Capcom and thank them for giving me the review copy. It was really appreciated. And a big shout out to all the patrons that are going to be showing up here if you're in the high rank. And I'm going to vocally shout out the G rank. If you want to support the channel, you can do so through the Patreon and have your name in the credits or be vocally shouted out. There's also a low rank tier, which gets you a Discord role, but not much else. But, you know, it helps. It helps me. Thank you so much. Irrational, Ashton Price, and Disparity, thank you so much for the G rank tiers. Joyce Sanders, Beyond the Time, and Christopher, thank you so much for the G-Rank tiers. Nolan Brookman, IBM 200, and Carl the Crab, thank you so much for the G-Rank tiers. Really appreciate it, guys. Mo Al-Kasemi, and Kinky King, and Captain Zeba, thank you so much for the G-Rank tiers. I appreciate it. Cyberworm, Kathleen Medjuk, and Crunchy Cowru, thank you so much for the G-Rank tiers. Jonathan, Strange Lee, and Rosal Leo, thank you so much for the G-Rank tiers. And Mr. Janky, the original Patreon sub, let's go. Thank you so much for the G-Rank tiers. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the support. I'm going to be running that challenge around release on Twitch if you want to check it out. I think it'll be fun. I'll probably do viewer hunts and run it. It should be a good time. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.